She got off the bus, came into the house, and her father shot her right in the chest.
Hey guys, just wanted to come back to you guys with a new story. And this is actually a murder story, solved case story, whatever category you want to put it in. But I saw this story one particular night when I could not sleep. It was about 5 o'clock in the morning, and I was scrolling through Facebook, and I saw this story. However, I don't feel like it got out to mainstream media, so I did want to kind of touch on it and just kind of get her story out and get his story out and get you guys' thoughts and opinions on it, because it was a story that I thought was just heartbreaking and really just all around sad. And this story is about an 11-year-old Tennessee girl, Tamea Batts, and her father, Timothy Batts. She was shot by her father returning home from school one day, and he has gone to trial. But to start the story off, this was a lively 6-year-old girl who loved pink and makeup and being bubbly and just having fun. She was full of life.
Hey YouTube.
She loved playing with makeup.
Today I'm going to be doing a makeup tutorial, what I have always wanted to do.
Her favorite color was pink.
And the color I'm going to use today kind of matched my outfit.
And she loved to show off for the camera.
And it was described that she was very well taken care of. She had just started the 6th grade. It was the first day of school. They said that Tamea had gotten dressed with brand new clothes. Her hair was done and it was pretty, and she was all set to go to school. I guess she went through her school day as normal, and her father stayed home. I don't know if he had a job or if he was just home from school that day. She did have other siblings. And she came home from school directly right after school, and to her father. And what detectives saw on the surveillance tapes before Tamea got home was her father, Timothy Batts, pacing the floor in his home with a phone in his left hand and a gun in his right, pacing back and forth, talking to someone in a very erratic behavior. So what was thought is that, for one, to me, it rang very weird, because my husband he used to do security, where he would install cameras and video cameras in people's houses. And one thing that was always, I would think is true, is that when there were people who wanted an extreme amount of cameras on the inside and outside of their houses, they usually had run-ins or occurrences with drug issues or selling drugs or distributing drugs. And so that, to me, with conjunction of him pacing his floor with a gun in his hand and on the phone and a very erratic behavior, made me question, does this guy sell drugs? Was he a former drug dealer? What's going on? Why are you pacing your floor at 3 o'clock in the afternoon? Because that's what time kids usually get out of school, right? So that was a question, or that was something that read a red flag to me. Also, they said that the gun was loaded with 22 rounds of ammo. Like, what are you going to do with 22 rounds of ammo? Are you ready to take down like a whole army?
At the end of her first day, Tamea boarded the bus and headed home, where she knew her dad would be waiting for her.
He wasn't sure what time she would be home, so he was home and thought he'd take a little nap.
District Attorney Ray Whitley says surveillance cameras captured Timothy Batts doing something else.
He was walking around in the house with a cell phone up to his left ear and a loaded handgun.
Just walking around with a cell phone and a gun?
Yes.
In his hand?
In his hand. And the gun was loaded with 22 rounds of ammunition.
Minutes later, surveillance video shows his daughter Tamea coming in from school.
That was weird. Tamea came straight home from school, and as I described, she was a very lovely or bubbly, lively girl. She did YouTube videos with makeup and things like that. And as she came into the house, her father was just dozing off to sleep. And as she came into the house, he woke up. And as he woke up, he yelled out, "Who's that?" And no one answered. And so they said he sat up in his bed, or as he described, he sat up in his bed and he asked again, "Who's there?" And no one answered. So he grabbed the gun, which he had at that point placed under the dresser. He grabbed the gun with 22 rounds of ammo, and he went towards the door. As he proceeded to go towards the door, Tamea jumped out and screamed, "Boo!" So when she screamed "boo," he shot her.
He yelled again, "Who is that?" No one responded. He sat up in his bed, and then he saw a shadow. A quick shadow just leaped across like...
Shadow.
When he saw that shadow, he knew someone was in the house.
Fearing for his life, he grabs a gun from under the dresser and goes to investigate.
He's about to exit his room door. His daughter, and see, he doesn't know it's his daughter, jumps from the side, his right side. She comes from the side and says, "Rah!" like that.
Trying to scare him.
Well, she grabs him.
Just messing around.
And he thinks it's an intruder.
Right.
He thinks, for a split second, they got me. And he shoots one time.
Let off one shot, and you can see, which is heartbreaking, you can see in the video after she had been shot, she was jumping up and down, I guess from the pain or the shock from getting hit with the bullet. And she was jumping up and down in the living room, and he was saying, "Oh my God, did I shoot you? Did I shoot you? Oh my God, I'm sorry, did I shoot you?" She didn't know if she had gotten hit, so she lifted up her shirt to where her father, Timothy, could actually see the hole where he had shot her.
The bullet went through the little girl's chest, came out of the other side, and lodged in the wall.
She had a little training bra, and there was a bullet hole in the training bra.
After the shot is fired, surveillance video shows Tamea jumping up and down.
He said, "Did I shoot you? Did I shoot you?" She said, "I don't know." She pulled up her shirt, and he saw the hole.
And so at that point, he grabbed her as quick as he could. He was trying to rush her to the hospital, and he called the ambulance for them to come to get her. And when she got to the ambulance, he got in, and he, all the way to the hospital, he was apologizing, saying, "I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to shoot you, and I apologize. Oh my God, I can't believe I did this." And she said, "No, Daddy, it's okay. It's fine. I forgive you." And to me, if I would have done that mistake or been in that situation, those words alone would have broken my heart. Like, to hear your child say, "You shot me, but that's okay." Like, that, to me, is just... When I heard that part, I started crying. I'm like, wow. And so she actually made it to the hospital, but shortly, about 2 hours after getting to the hospital, she passed away. And so, of course, detectives did come into the hospital and, investigate and ask him questions. When they first questioned Timothy about his daughter being shot, he denied that he had did it. He actually said she came home from school that way, that when she arrived, she had been shot, which to me sounds unbelievable because I believe she took the school bus home, so that means that she would have had to get on the school bus, shot, or get off the school bus, shot, coming to the house. Nobody saw her, nobody helped. She didn't stop before she got to the house to say, "Somebody shot me, can you help?" And then for her to get into the ambulance, make it all the way to the hospital, and then 2 hours later die, that timeline doesn't add up to me. And so after his daughter passed away, while he was still at the hospital being questioned, he just kind of relinquished all of his lies and said, "You know what, I did it. I shot her. It was a mistake. I apologize. I'm willing to deal with whatever consequences may come my way. But my only request is that I get out, or I stay out of jail long enough to bury my baby."
My daughter, that's my baby, that's my world, I love her to death.
He walked into the police station voluntarily without an attorney.
And then I seen a shadow. So I'm like, who is that?
And explained how he had mistakenly killed his firstborn child.
And then as I'm creeping, somebody just jumped out.
He promised to fully cooperate with investigators. And he had one request.
"Would you please let me stay out long enough to bury my little girl?"
And what did they do?
They arrest him, and he's given a $1 million bond.
That was what his request was. Sadly enough, when he went to court, his bail was $1 million. And this is the part that I want you guys' opinion on. A lot of people agree, okay, that's completely fair. You shot your daughter and then you lied about it. And some people think, okay, it was an accident. Just let him stay out of jail long enough to be able to attend the funeral and to see his daughter be buried. So what actually happened is that there were a lot of petitions, a lot of supporters, a lot of people who came to Timothy's side at the time of the bail sentence to complain or to petition to say that he doesn't deserve $1 million bail, which a lot of his supporters and petitioners did raise the money to get him out of jail to be able to attend the funeral. Now, the unfortunate thing, actually no, it was reduced to $500,000. The bail was reduced to $500,000. He was able to get out, attend the funeral, and he was out of jail, then arrested because he was caught with drugs, which was something that violated his parole. And they said that they did not want to find him with any possession of drugs, any possession of cocaine, or any substance. And he got caught while out on bail for his daughter's funeral with drugs in his possession.
That courtroom was packed with Timothy Batts supporters. And we had a dead 11-year-old girl that hadn't even been buried yet.
There was suddenly a groundswell of support for the embattled father. Thousands signed a petition asking for his release. Ultimately, a judge reduced Batts' bond to $500,000.
A lot of his supporters got together and people pooled their money.
The father of four made bail and was out in time to attend Tamea's funeral, but his freedom didn't last long.
He apparently had an affinity for cocaine, for drugs, and that came back to haunt him.
A month after his release, Timothy's bond was revoked, and he was back behind bars.
The judge specifically stated as a condition of his bond that he was not to use any drugs whatsoever, but he tested positive for cocaine within 5 days.
When it came around to getting to trial and to talking about the different instances of the case, of course, one side wanted to argue that he was a very loving, caring father who cared much about not only just Tamea, but the rest of her siblings as well, that he took good care of them, that, you know, he had very bad past, that he had done things that he wasn't necessarily proud of, but he was kind of turning over a new leaf and ready to be responsible and be a responsible father and step up to the plate. However, the other side did want to argue that what was he doing with a gun in his home in the first place? If he was not suspicious, why was he pacing the floor that way the day that Tamea was shot? And what are we to think of these situations? So they did bring up his history of drug possession and selling drugs, and that they painted him as a drug dealer, as a criminal and a drug dealer, that he still had some ties with, you know, dealing drugs or dealing with that lifestyle or those type of people. And one thing that was discussed at the time of the case is that the gun was not actually his. I don't know if that was actually proven or not, but it was stated that the gun belonged to his cousin. Him and his cousin were together the night before. However, his cousin had got really intoxicated and he did not want to drive home with a gun in the car. So he asked for Timothy to keep the gun for one day. I won't say that I don't believe it. I'll just ask you guys' opinion. That's very ironic that the one particular day that you were supposed to hold on to the gun is the same day that someone is murdered. But he was supposed to be holding the gun for his cousin, which he also had on parole that he was not supposed to be in any possession of any weapons or any narcotics. So that also was something that came up. Why are you carrying this weapon when that's something that you're not supposed to be doing? So, and that's kind of where it goes back to me thinking about when I'm a child and my parents or your parents say, if someone tells you to jump off a cliff, are you going to do it? in my opinion, I would say, hey, I could really get in trouble for this. I understand that you can get in trouble, but why did you come here with a gun? I would say, I can't hold this for you. I can't do it because if anyone catches me, I'll be in trouble. So that is where I think he should have drawn a line and say, hey, I can't keep this gun at my house. This is dangerous for me as well as for you. Maybe you should have left it at home. So you have to deal with the responsibility. If you get pulled over or if they search your car, that's on you. So they used the surveillance video to say that he looked as if he was actually under the influence of drugs. And they were saying that his behavior was so suspicious that it was almost as if he was waiting for someone. Like he was waiting for someone to come and get him, as if he had been set up, or if that he was afraid that someone was trying to do something to him. And that when Tamea came in the house, he assumed that that person was someone, or that she was someone else who was going to actually do harm to him. And that is why he was on the phone, or that may have been the person he was on the phone with that was coming to harm him. And that's why he was pacing the floor and holding the gun. Because if you were not suspicious, why are you pacing the floor in your own home holding a gun? So they also had showed that he had tons of cash hidden in his home, which they had linked back to, okay, where are you getting all of this unclaimed money from? Are you still selling drugs? What's going on? Why is this? Why do you have this? This is not a normal thing unless you are one of those people who hide cash in a mattress and you have mattress money. But still, it's weird considering his past. So then his defense, of course, brought out the subject that he had the right to fear for his life because of his past and a lot of the things that he had gone through. He had been shot 6 times, and they actually pulled up his shirt in the courtroom to show where he had previously been shot 6 times, and so that he has an issue with trusting or not being paranoid in certain situations. So that is as to why he was so paranoid. But that situation happened 6 years prior to the shooting of Tamea. So I don't know. I've never been in a situation like that, but I wouldn't think if I'm home by myself and nothing has happened in 6 years that I should still be afraid and carrying a gun and pacing my floor with a ton of cameras in my house. I don't know. I don't think I would agree with that particular point, but then again, you never know where someone's psyche is. So I'm not agreeing or disagreeing with this case. So they went to trial. One juror actually held out from a conviction. It came back around, and he settled for a plea, and he's still currently actually in jail, and he's eligible for parole this year. And so a lot of people are saying he shouldn't have parole. He should not be eligible. He should rot in jail. You killed your daughter. You deserve to rot away in jail. You killed this beautiful 11-year-old girl, and that's justice. You deserve to stay in jail. And then there are people who are saying that his little girl being gone and him having to deal with her saying, "It's okay, Daddy, that you shot me. It's okay." And, that she passed away in his presence and that he actually caused this harm is enough of a punishment for him. I'm not giving necessarily my thoughts or my opinions on this case for sure because I wasn't there. I don't know Tamea Batts. I don't know him directly, but I want to know your opinion on this case. I want to know, do you think he should stay in jail? Do you think he should not have parole, or do you think him losing his precious 11-year-old daughter is enough of a punishment and that he should be able to get out of jail and try to live his life justly? I did see a lot of people that made comments on the Facebook post that says, well, he has 3 other kids. I believe it's 3 other kids. Who's to say that he won't have the same accident with them? And that's a valid point, but mistakes do happen. Is he too paranoid to have custody of his children? I don't know. That's something I would like to hear from you guys. But I just wanted to put the facts out there, the theories out there for you guys, and I want to hear feedback from you on what you think about this case. Again, it's so sad that an 11-year-old girl had to lose her life. She was simply, being who she was, and it ended up costing her life. And that's sad to say. And I wish peace and wellness to her family, to her father, even if you guys think he needs to stay in jail. I can't imagine what that does to him mentally. But other than that, leave your comments. I appreciate you guys taking the time out to listen to this video, to watch this video. If you have not subscribed, then what are you waiting for? And also leave me other cases that you would like for me to talk about. I would be glad to just go over any cases that you guys are interested in or that there's not a verdict to, and we want to get the voice out to get a verdict or to get something solved. I would be glad to do it. But thank you so much for your time. Love you guys. Bye.